Lord of the Rings has been in a bit of a rough place with the Gollum game's failure, along with Rings of Power, which has gotten destroyed by Tolkien fans, but I think that we've all been pretty excited for the upcoming animated movie, War of the Rohirrim, but it seems like it may not be as exciting as once thought because they might be adding a feminist twist to it. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube memberships. Now, this is just a new report, so of course take it with a grain of salt, but unfortunately, it does sound like this film may have some big problems. So, it says a new report coming out of the 2023 International Animation Film Festival shows that the upcoming The War of Rohirrim animated film will inject feminism into Tolkien's classic tale. It says it was announced back in June 2021 with Warner Brothers Animation president Sam Register explaining this will be yet another epic portrayal of Tolkien's world that has never been told before. I personally was pretty freaking excited for this when we heard about it. Of course, we knew at that point it was going to be years away, and we didn't have a lot of information surrounding it, but two pieces of the puzzle that I was very excited for were these. The Lord of the Rings co-writer Philippa Boyens recruited Miranda Otto for this film, so she, of course, the actress who originally played Eowyn, was actually going to at least be voicing and narrating in the movie. We don't know besides that what she was going to be doing, but that sounded awesome. That was extremely hype for LOTR fans. But now it seems like, the untold story behind the Fortress of Helm's Deep may not be as cool as we were hoping. So, of course, this all stemmed from a short story that Tolkien provided about Helm Hammerhand in the appendix of Lord of the Rings, so it's not like they had a ton of information that they were really going off of in order to create this, but at the same time, it was still very exciting. I still have a lot of high hopes for this, even though we are now hearing very questionable reports. I want to stay semi-positive. It's not actually confirmed yet, but whenever we hear that feminism is going to be, shoved into a beloved property with an upcoming movie or TV show or video game, I definitely do lose a lot of the hype that I had for it. This does sound like it's going to be questionable. Now, of course, like I mentioned, this is all based on a short story that Tolkien wrote, but he did give a significant amount of detail that, of course, the movie is being based on. I can't, of course, read Helm's whole entire description, but this is some from Tolkien Gateway. So in the Third Age 2754, Freka, a rich and powerful man with wide lands on both sides of the River Adorn, who claimed to be a descendant from King Freowine, yet was said to have much Dunlenning blood, was called to a council by Helm. Freka rode to Edoras with a great force of men and asked Helm for the hand of his daughter for his son Wolf. When Helm insulted Freka to have grown fat, Freka in return insulted Helm to be old and that he could fall on his knees if he refused the staff that Freka had offered with the proposed marriage. Now, after the council, Helm took Freka outside, sent everybody away, and hit him with a fist so hard that Freka fell down stunned and died soon after. And of course, this actually is where he got his nickname from, Hammerhand, but this is also kind of the catalyst moment for the war. The men of Freka left, but in 2758 they returned with a great force of Dunlennings, reinforced by enemies of Gondor. And then, of course, Helm held the fortress during the Long Winter, which, of course, later became known as Helm's Deep. And like it mentioned, one of the catalyst moments for this was the fact that, Freka asked Helm for the hand of his daughter for his son Wolf, and that's kind of what was sparked here. We don't exactly have a lot of information on this daughter, who of course is going to be, one of the primary most characters in this, in this movie, but she was at this point, or up until they decided to greenlight this movie, just an unnamed daughter of Helm Hammerhand. It says that it appears some significant liberties will be taken in the upcoming animated adaptation, and according to Slash Film, who attended the film's presentation at the 2023 International Animation Film Festival, much of the story will focus on Helm Hammerhand's unnamed daughter, and that she has been given the name Hera, and Slash Films claims that she is the protagonist of the War of the Rohirrim, which is just so questionable, because we have a movie being made about Helm Hammerhand, and they decide to create a story and a movie based on a previously unnamed minor character. The producer also explained the decision to make her the protagonist, saying everyone else dies, and before you start complaining, this is already in the text, and also the story takes place centuries before the movies. And according to Slash Film, not only is Hera the protagonist, but the character is also based off of the Lady of the Mercians and daughter of Wessex King Alfred the Great. And to top it all off, not only is the character inspired by this individual, but the film's director reportedly described her as tomboyish, a young woman who is wild and vulnerable with a character arc that sees her grow in a time of war, because you can't really have a Middle-earth story without war. It just sounds like, yes, it's going to start off with a lot of men and a lot of the characters that you already know. It's going to start off with a lot of recognizability. By the end, this is going to be, the main character. She's going to be the most important. And I want to specify here, I am perfectly fine with seeing women in entertainment. I would love to see a good female character in a Lord of the Rings project, even leading a Lord of the Rings project. That is not, what I'm concerned about here. What I'm concerned about is the fact that they have to specify, she's described as a tomboy, and she's wild, and she's vulnerable, and she does things her own way. And when you start bringing the word feminist, or, the term feminism into describing a character or a story, that to me is the most worrying piece of information. Because you can have strong female characters that do not lean, the way of feminism, but then, in a lot of modern day entertainment, they go way overboard with these characters. And I think that it's important to clarify that I am not worried about the fact that there are going to be more fleshed out characters, and that they are potentially going to be adding a little bit more of the human drama to this, right? Because that is extremely important. Lord of the Rings is about humanity and the choices that we make. I do, of course, want to see the war and the epic battles and all of these different cool things, but there needs to be a good balance. And if they can do that, I still think that this could be extremely great to watch. Over the past couple of years, we've definitely been in a rough spot when it comes to Tolkien's work. I love Lord of the Rings. I love the universe that he created. So many amazing stories and characters, but unfortunately, recently I did a whole playthrough of it. I had to play the Gollum game, and that was very, very awful. And in my opinion, was like a 2.5 to 3 out of 10 experience. I mean, it was just genuinely one of the worst games that I've ever played. But we also got Rings of Power not that long ago, and we know that they're actively working on season 2 right now. But we also know that behind the scenes, they completely, switched up the creative team and put like all females on it. They were boasting about how they have all female producers and most of their directors are female, and how this is great and it's inclusive, even though inclusivity by exclusivity doesn't work, and by getting rid of the men, you're not actually being inclusive. But that show also was a freaking nightmare. Critics loved it. We don't care about critics. But the audiences hated it a 38% audience score, a 2.4 out of 5 is just terrible. People clearly are not enjoying the new Lord of the Rings content that is being created, and I was very hopeful for this film. I was hoping that they were really going to take, Tolkien's classic tale of Helm Hammerhand, and they were going to do it justice. They were really going to give us what we wanted, and maybe it'll still come out and it will be awesome. And you know what? All of these worries about feminism being shoved into it will be all for nothing. But at this point, we have a lot to worry about. There are a lot of red flags going on, and I have a lot of questions, and it honestly seems like they are taking it in a very feminist-heavy direction. When we have more information about this, I will definitely be talking about it again, but for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.